Sciatica is a condition that can be caused by infection, inflammatory diseases, nerve root lesions, protruding IV disc, or mechanical compression and tension that cause pain along the course of the sciatic nerve. Faulty body mechanics, spinal strains, especially when a load is present, and spinal degeneration can all contribute to sciatica. Symptoms of sciatica may arise from tissue issues anywhere along the course of the sacral plexus, sciatic nerve trunk, or its peripheral nerve branches. It may also arise as a reflex due to irritation of peripheral nerve endings. Adhesions, compression, and tightness can be present at the nerve root, the sacroiliac region where spinal nerves travel through the sacral foramen, and the piriformis muscle where the nerve passes through the sciatic notch and continues through or under the piriformis muscle. The piriformis muscle and the muscles in the back pocket area can be troublemakers and often become tight, burny, nagging, and angry. The deep tissues in this area get really crunched up and constricted and feel almost like there's a rock in that area. The tissues here are very deep and heavily layered, so we want to pull out our bigger guns for this one, the cups that have a stronger suction. I don't use them that often, but this is one time where I like to use the big number 4 edge cups or number 3 edge cups. I use those and I use the grips cups from Game On Gear because the combination suction from all of these is amazing for this back pocket region. Now, I can just put the client in prone and try to address that area from here. But again, we talked about how deep and layered this area is. So what I like to do is put the client in supine with the leg that I'm treating in a bent position before we start, and the opposite leg resting on the table in neutral. Then we're going to take the hip that we are working on that's in that slightly bent position, and we're going to put that back pocket region in a stretch position by flexing the hip, adducting the hip, and externally rotating. So we're going to flex the hip, we're going to adduct the hip, and then we're going to give it a little bit of external rotation. From here, we can have our client support and maintain that stretch by just holding onto the knee and or ankle. Perfect. And then we are going to blanket cup that entire area. I'm going to use a combination of the grips cups and the larger edge cups. So we could easily apply a few cups at the hamstring as well while she's in this position. After that area is blanketed, we can now take over and passively stretch that area with the cups already applied. So she can relax her hands. I'm going to give her a bit more stretch. And I'm going to hold here for about 20 seconds or so. And then I'm going to bring her back just in a nice resting position. I can keep the foot on the opposite leg, but just taking the stretch off of that back pocket region, and I can support her knee. And then I can go right back into the stretch. So it depends on the client, but I can hold these stretches for longer. I can shorten these stretches. It depends on my actual treatment goals. So after we've held the stretch, then we're going to ease off and allow that area a little break, a little reprieve. You can place them with their foot on the table or the foot on the opposite leg. Just hold and support the limb for about 20 seconds or so, and then I can go right back into another stretch. I usually stretch about 3 to 5 times. Sometimes I like to add a muscle energy technique. So from this position, after I've stretched her, I can have her actively attempt to bring the leg back down toward the table with about 30% of your actual strength. So I'm going to brace her and have her attempt to bring your leg back to the table. until I say stop. Good. Keep going, and stop. About 5 seconds with that manual resistance, and after she relaxes, I'm going to wait about 2 seconds. I'm going to have her relax, 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 and then I'm going to take her further into that stretch. We can do that about 5 times. We'll do it one more time. So bring your leg back toward the table. I'm resisting with everything that I have, and relax. We're going to give it about 2 seconds. That way the muscle is really, really relaxed. And then we're going to take her further into that hip adduction, flexion position, and even add that external rotation on. Make sure your client can tolerate that. Our client is pretty flexible and doesn't have a lot of pain, but you want to make sure that your client doesn't have enough pain that would aggravate the pain, and that they have a decent amount of range of motion and no issues once we get up until those higher degrees of hip flexion. Another one of my favorite treatments for piriformis syndrome or back pocket problems is to use the same positioning, except this time we are going to dynamically drive the cup around the muscles in order to vacuum out adhesions, release tight, restricted tissues, and just make that hip feel nice and loose. I love this position because it puts that back pocket region on stretch, and it helps us to get into those deeper fibers rather than addressing the more superficial fibers. So while she's in this position, I'm going to just doorknob that cup around. I can add a little bit of traction if I want to. I can add some tilting in different directions. I can add some whirligigging, but we're getting the stretch of that back pocket region while we're ironing out adhesions. I can do some straight line or some frictioning. Frictioning is usually really good for that back pocket region because it's a more aggressive stroke and it really targets those tight tissues. When I do my dynamic cupping, I like to use a size 3 or even 2 edge cup depending on the size of the person and the hip. We want the cup to be a decent size so we can drive it around. But not too big so that the suction is painful. I usually apply about 50 to 75% suction power. So the client is maintaining that back pocket stretch, and we are going to just drive that cup around, or I can maintain that stretch and I can drive the cup around. I like to go parallel and perpendicular to the muscle fibers, some frictioning in one direction. I can change and I can friction in a different direction. I can break suction. I can move the cup. I can change my techniques all along while I'm maintaining that hip in that stretch position. If I find a particular tight area, I may park the cup over that area and do a little decompression, a little tilting, and maybe even a little whirligigging just to give that area extra TLC. So play with these different techniques, play with the stretching, play with the angle of the hip. You can keep the hip in less than 90 degrees and do a little stretch. You can bring the hip above 90 degrees and now do a stretch. Check in with your client, make sure they're doing okay, ask them how it feels, but give all those a try right now. One last way I like to treat sciatica is to include a little love to the low back as well. Since this is where the sciatic nerve originates, L4 through S3, we are going to use a combination of cups for this one, different sizes. I like to use the grips and the edge cups. For demonstration purposes, I am going to use the edge cups today. But I like the grips and the edge cups because they have a strong suction, and that's perfect for low back and the glute area. And the edge cups, because they come in all different sizes, and the suction can be graded to give reduced suction power with blanket cupping, it makes it a no-brainer. With blanket cupping, because we will end up putting so many cups on the body, we want to be cognizant of the overall suction power and tissue pool and the possibility of overstressing the tissue with so many cups. So from there, we're just going to follow the pathway of the sciatic nerve. We're going to start at the low back, and we're going to blanket cup the entire leg. I'm going to use the bigger cups on the larger areas. So if you have a person that has a large, wide back, you can start with the bigger edge cups. I chose to go smaller at the back, but I'm going to do a bigger cup for her thigh. I like the pinch grip method, so I'm going to stick with that. Again, we're living at about 25, 50, maybe even 75% with these cups. Again, you're going to put a lot of cups on, so you want to make sure you're not overwhelming your client or overwhelming the tissues. So I'm going to continue down the pathway, choosing the right cup size for that area. And I'm putting the cups pretty close together. If you imagine almost a parting of the seas, we are going to really just create space for that sciatic nerve to breathe. Being careful that we don't cup directly over the popliteal area. I'm going to stop just shy of it. I'm going to give it some space, and I'm going to pick back up just below the popliteal area. And I'm going to continue my blanket cupping and using that pinch grip method the entire way down. I'm going to check in with my client, make sure she's doing okay. Doing okay. She gave me the thumbs up, or the eyebrows up. At the bottom of the leg, I'm going to use the smaller edge cups because where that gastroc kind of terminates at the Achilles tendon, it gets really, really narrow. So we want to make sure that the cups are staying on and the suction is pretty good. So this is blanket cupping for the sciatic nerve. This is just a good ending stroke, a good ending technique. We can follow it by taking the cups off and putting a little heat on those areas. Tissues usually love heat. Heat creates space, and that's exactly what we did with our cups and our blanket cupping method. So go ahead and give that one a try and let me know how you like it.